Okay, what happened was in 1996, I got pregnant.
Okay, that must
Yep.
have been exciting. What happened there?
Okay, so this was right around the time of the first golden age of tech release, right? There was, in fact, my husband was working on that quite literally night and day. He wouldn't come home for days on end preparing for this, and he never got any sleep. He was getting 0 to 3 hours of sleep at night for weeks because they were trying to prepare all of the materials for it.
Wow.
And of course, it was a last minute emergency, just like everything else. And I found out I was pregnant, and new management teams had just been sent in to the West US at that time. And in my first meeting with my new boss, I got to tell her that I was pregnant. And
now you're the flag rep of the most important model org in the world.
I was the flag rep of one of the most important orgs, and the flag rep network was very small at that point. There were very few. It had dwindled down to be quite small. So this was really bad news for her.
Mm-hmm.
I was no longer going to be able to be there. So she responded in kind.
Yeah.
You know, I say I'll never forget the look of shock, anger, disgust on her face. She just immediately yelled at me. And
just straight up, just like no
that just immediately, it was just bad. It went from like, hey, it's great to meet you, I'm so excited, you know, my new position, to just, yeah, really anger. And she very, you know, she was really angry and asked me, you know, why I wasn't just getting an abortion. And
just straight up, as though that was the expected.
Like that was normal. Yeah, like that was normal. And I had heard of that a couple of girls had gotten abortions in the SEER to be able to stay in, and I'd seen a few, you know, have their kids and go out of the SEER, right, to Class 5 org. So at that time, you would be sent to a Class 5 org if you had a kid. And
right, this is about a year before the rule comes down of no more kids, period.
A few months before that rule.
Months, okay. Yeah, so this is right before.
Right before. So yeah, but it was nothing, you know, having abortions is nothing you ever talked about. So I did not know how prevalent it was. And, you know, so she basically said to me, you know, that was what I should be doing, was having an abortion so I could stay. And I told her, and I was very upset about that because there was no way that was going to happen, but I kind of knew that that was going to come up. I knew that I was going to be told that, which is ridiculous. You know, no mother should have to face this sort of thing. No person should be, you know, should have to face this. So you know, I was ready for it. And I fought back, and I was, you know, I had no problem speaking up if I felt something was very wrong. And so I did that. And I told her, and I used Dianetics to back me up in Science of Survival, because Hubbard in those equates abortion to murder.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't personally believe that, but it was, you know, easy to use to get her off my back about it. And so I was like, yeah, no, I'm having this baby. That's it. And that was actually the last time we talked about it. She didn't, you know, I wasn't on fortunately for me, I wasn't on a very, you know, I was a flag rep. That's replaceable. I wasn't in CMO. I wasn't some executive, because I think it would have been much worse based on everything I've read about women who have been put under intense pressure. So I was pretty lucky that I was just at a lowly Class 5 org. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was, you know, the process started to get me replaced. And my husband actually was stopped by Hansuli Stawley in the hallway over at ITO. And
okay, so sorry, but let's just explain a little bit of that. You just threw some around there.
Yeah. Yes.
Who is Hansuli Stawley?
Yep, sorry. He works at RTC, and I believe he's still there.
He is.
He is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
He's
that's the most
RTC.
senior.
That guy's been in the RTC since the 80s.
Right. Yeah, that's the most senior organization possible. And
Right.
my husband was working at, at the time, actually, I think he was a course admin because he'd been, taken off of being a supervisor at, international training org. So he was pretty much lower on the totem pole, and he was standing there, and his boss, who was the commanding officer for ITO, was also standing there. And the story that he told me many years later, we didn't talk about this at the time. I didn't tell him what had gone down in my meeting. He didn't tell me, because you didn't talk about that sort of stuff even with your spouse. And what occurred was Stolly asked him what trimester I was in. Not because he was curious how far along I was. He wanted to see if I was still eligible to get an abortion. He just asked it casually in the hallway. Fortunately for my husband, the commanding officer of the Flag Command Bureau, which is higher, not higher than RTC certainly, but a pretty high, position, was there and put a stop to that talk. Yeah, to his credit, apparently he said, we're not going to go there. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that is the only reason that because if that guy hadn't been there, probably conversation would have gone very different, because apparently the commanding officer of his organization, so his boss's boss's boss, helpfully filled in the details of what trimester I was in, and they were going to have some discussion, I guess, about getting me an abortion. So I didn't know about this until a few years ago.
Wow.
So it creeps me out so much that discussion happened, and that these people thought this is an okay thing to talk about.
Yeah, right out in the middle of the hallway.
Right
and
now,
the fact that some guy, like, literally organizationally 5 levels above you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
5 levels, actually, no, 5 levels like above your husband. I mean, this is like a very
really high up. Yeah. Yeah.
Even knew about you.
Yeah.
And what was going on with you.
Yeah.
To ask in the hallway.
Yeah.
To recognize your husband on site.
Yeah.
Go up to him and ask him this, this fairly, imposing question.
Yeah.
Right, from altitude. I mean, RTC doesn't get higher than that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, tell me, like, what kind of organization is this that does this? What occurred after that?
A replacement was worked out, and I was going to go become the DSA of Mountain View org, and I was going to replace the DSA, Director of Special Affairs, and they're the person who locally handles the Office of Special Affairs stuff. So the public relations, media, government, intrigue, etc.
Right.
Yeah. So, but meanwhile, I was still the flag rep at LA Day, and I was getting ever more pregnant, and it was known that I was pregnant and that I was going off to a class, up to this other place. And I would have to say that about half of the people I knew who were my friends or, close acquaintances just completely stopped talking to me because I was pregnant. And I overheard nasty comments, got dirty looks. It became so bad that I would work really hard to avoid seeing other Sea Org members, because I was just made to feel so ashamed and so, like I was so in the wrong and betraying everybody. And so I would go to meal times, like right at the end as everybody was rushing out. And I was able to do this only because I worked as the flag rep of this other org and had a slightly more flexible schedule. I didn't have to be at the same musters as all these other people. If I had to be in one of these other orgs, I have no idea what would have happened, how I would have fared. Because at LA Day, it was mostly non-Sea Org, and they were mostly happy for me,
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't have that balance, if I'd only been surrounded by all of this hate and disgust and being shamed, I really don't know how well I would have come through it. I would take showers at completely different times. I would, all sorts of stuff. I would just do everything I could to just avoid running into people, because it just became so painful to, to do this. And I had to get myself on, there was obviously no health insurance. I had no money. California, fortunately, has a very good program for, pregnant women who are low income. And I was able to get onto that. And
which of course is amazing that this would have to happen in Scientology, which we now know has billions of dollars in assets and reserves.
Yeah, absolutely. But
they can't afford to deal with their pregnant members.
No, and I had I think it's a stretch to say that I got 1 or 2 congratulations from other SEAL members. But that's a stretch. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's like being way kind about kind memories about what happened.
Yeah, that's very kind. I had to organize, getting myself, I was 22 at this point. I had to organize getting myself to and from my doctor's appointments. My husband was never able to come with me. In fact, he was not around very much at all because of all of the projects and stuff they were working on for the Golden Age of Tech, Golden Age of Management, etc. So I barely got to see him during that whole episode.
Was it worth it though?
We're being interrupted. You're going to have to edit this out.
Sorry.
Yes, it was. Okay, so the in any case, yes, it was worth it. I'm very glad that I, stuck with my guns and, had her. I wanted to be a mother. I did. I decided I wanted to be a mother, but yeah, just going through that was just, it sucked. It really did. It was really hard to, just dealing with all of the tremendous negativity from everyone.